Well, welcome to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Thank you for joining us here. It's the middle of the week on Wednesday, and I'm here with Holly Baker. And Holly, we have a very hot forecast. It's funny because we just stepped outside and you'll see something on social media later, but there's definitely a divide or a split difference between who likes the humidity and who doesn't. So whether you're a fan of it or not, it is going to be here. Now, we did have a lot of showers and thunderstorms this morning, and they certainly made a roar across the area. We even had viewers send us in some photos as well as videos, so let's take a look. We had the ominous-looking dark clouds out there. We had rain coming down in sheets. Yes, the turbulent clouds, and that line was distinctively showing a shelf cloud. We had Greg sent this in from Concord, Wisconsin, of heavy rain that fell. And yes, because of all that moisture in the air, the rain was torrential in some spots. So that causes the question, why was our thunder so loud, especially this morning? We're going to switch it over to our weather system where we can talk about this a little more. Typically in the atmosphere, we have warmer air near the surface and it can get cooler as we go up. As the air rises, the surrounding air cools down, and that's normal conditions when we have this. However, today was a little different. We had cooler temperatures near the surface and an inversion layer, which means the air, instead of being cooler as it went up, it was actually warmer. When the thunderstorms moved in and it created that thunder, the sound waves were trapped underneath that warmer inversion layer. So because of that, that thunder then gets bounced around in the colder air rolling, and it was quite loud. So it really had to do with that slightly warmer layer above the air's temperature at the surface, which wasn't necessarily cold, but even temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s, that created the sound waves to amplify a little more this morning when we had the storms rolling through. And Holly, I think you mentioned to me too when you came in that it was loud. I mean, we could hear it within the building. A lot of people were woken up by this too.
Oh yeah, I was woken up by it, came to work, driving in it. And then when we were on the show, I'm like, I can still hear it. I thought they were rolling chairs, but it was the thunder that was rolling. But it's something about the thunder that adds a little bit of ease for me. Don't know what it is, especially when you're sleeping and you hear the thunder.
Yeah.
It's like, it puts me to sleep almost.
It's
like,
it's a little
stay
soothing.
in. Yeah.
I think that's why they have sound devices or sound machines that have thunder or rain falling, because it is a soothing sound to some people.
Yeah.
It also means, though, that we had some storms. Now, thankfully, they weren't severe, but I know you're going to break down our region of weather for us. Do we have more storms on the way, or what are we really looking like for the rest of the day?
All right, for the rest of the day here in at least Wisconsin, we're going to be seeing a mix of everything. I mean, we got the heat that's going to be on the way, as well as we're going to be tracking some showers and storms in some of our northern communities. But first, let's take a look at our nation here. Our nation overall is going to be a part of this heat headline. We have some heat headlines with heat advisories just out to the northeast. We also have some here in the Midwest, and it stretches as far down to the Gulf Coast there. And you even see that we have some heat warnings in place for areas just down south. We're just going to be a part of a heat advisory here in Wisconsin. Specifically, the southern half of Wisconsin is going to be a part of this heat advisory. That just means we have very dangerous heat. The heat index could be as high as 105 degrees. That is what it could feel like outdoors today, folks. So you're going to need to drink plenty of water before going outdoors and while you're outdoors. Pay attention to those signs of heat exhaustion or heat stroke. We went over those yesterday, so just pay attention to those signs so that you can avoid that happening. And this advisory is going to be in effect starting at really right now. It's went in effect at 11 o'clock, so it's going to be present right now up until about 8 o'clock tonight. Now, as we continue to move forward and look at our dew points here, our dew points across the region are on the rise. The reason is because we had the rain earlier, it was cooler, but it left behind a lot of moisture. And as we heated up, those dew points started to rise, and now we're in the 70s. Feels very, very oppressive. You see here, we're in that purple, magenta looking color as a part of that oppressiveness with our dew points. 70s to be exact, 73 in Milwaukee, 74 in Chicago, 75 in Minneapolis. Man, that's high. 75 as well in Kansas City. We're going to continue to rise with those dew points as well, especially for that southern half of the state of Wisconsin. Now, some of our northern areas will still be dealing with dew points, but they won't be as high as the areas just south of the Wisconsin region. Here's a look at the dew point forecast as we continue into the weekend and even as we start the week next week. It looks like a roller coaster ride here. You see it, it's like a up and a down, up and a down. That's exactly what those dew points are going to be. But I will say this. We're still going to keep the humidity around, no matter if the dew points are in the 70s or if they're in the 60s. We're seeing some 60s here by Friday, so they drop off by Friday, but it's still going to feel very humid outdoors, but maybe not as noticeable as the 70s. But we get back up to the 70s for Saturday, back to the 60s on Sunday, and then 70s again. We're going to have 90-degree weather back in the forecast. So after today and tomorrow with the 90s, we get a little bit of a break, but then temperatures hike up again by the time we start next week, and so will those dew points. So just keep that in mind, folks. We'll look at those forecasted highs for today across the nation. We're going to be trending in the 90s here, 94 to be exact in Milwaukee, 97 in St. Louis. We're seeing some double digits or triple digits there in Phoenix, 104 degrees. I'm always curious of what exactly is going to be feeling like there every single day. It's just really, really hot. 99 degrees in Houston as well as in Dallas. So very hot really across the nation. Not many areas will even get a relief from some of the heat. Maybe if we look just in Billings, Montana there in the 70s. Otherwise, everybody else is going to be pretty hot. Now, closer to home here, we're going to break down these temperatures a little bit more. I know you see 75. It's actually going to be in the 90s today. So there is an error here. So that's going to be pretty much in the 90s as well as some of our other areas down south. That is why we do have that heat advisory. But you notice the cooler temperatures are going to fall to the northern parts. We're looking at Rhinelander today, expected to be in the 70s. And then Wausau is going to be at least in around the 80s, so 84, Green Bay at 87. But they are not necessarily a part of that heat advisory, but it still will be rather comfortable, at least more comfortable there than it is here down in the southern tier of the state of Wisconsin. Now, I know with temperatures being really hot and outside, you're going to want to go swimming or get close to the lake to try to cool off. Well, it's not going to be as bad of beach conditions as it was yesterday, but we still have some areas that are highlighted. So if you're a part of the Sheboygan County area there, you're going to need to pay close attention and really try to avoid swimming if you're going to be in that area for the lake. Now, some of our other areas like in Milwaukee County, even Racine and Kenosha, you should be okay to maybe go by the lake. It should not be as bad, but there will be some high waves and some rip currents possible for areas just off the lakefront there of Sheboygan County today. Now, as we take a look at our satellite and radar, we are dry for majority of the state, but we're tracking more of that rain to come in. We have two low pressure systems here just off to at least the north and west. Those will continue to bring rain into our area as we pretty much go throughout today and even tomorrow. In fact, for today, some of our northern portions of the state will be a part of a slight risk, more of a marginal risk for the central portions of the state. But that southeast Wisconsin area, we're clipped out of that severe thunderstorm outlook for today. But that will change tomorrow. We'll be in a marginal risk for tomorrow for at least the southern half or the southeastern half and even portions of the eastern parts just along the lake there for some severe weather tomorrow. That can include some hail possibilities, strong winds, as well as a lot of rain that's going to be falling. We can never rule out a possibility for a tornado, but a chance for that tomorrow will be pretty low. Let's take a look here on our Sky Vision Plus and we plan ahead here. So as we go throughout the rest of today, you'll notice those showers and thunderstorms will continue to make their way just in that northwestern corner of at least Wisconsin. Maybe a little area of thunderstorms possible. This is around 4 o'clock for the central portion of the state. The southern half stays pretty dry throughout the day. As those storms continue to move throughout the rest of this evening, it's really just going to clip off just that northern and northwestern half. That's why they have that slight risk. They're going to have a line of thunderstorms moving in with a front. But as we head towards tomorrow's going to be a little bit different. Not as severe, but we still will see a little bit of rain as you see here. But it's going to be kind of scattered, so we will have some moments where it will be pretty dry, but those clouds are going to stick around for the entire state. This is around 11 o'clock a.m. tomorrow, so we could have just scattered showers across the state there. Now, as we continue throughout The rest of Thursday, we're really just going to be dealing with that rain still trying to clear out of the area. So just have the umbrella handy, folks. And honestly, we'll be having another round of this come as we head towards Friday. But then we start to have more sunshine, Lisa, as we head into at least Sunday's forecast. That's what I'm looking forward to. Sunday is going to be our next super sunny day.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to have some sunshine back, some calmer conditions. One of the things that we're tracking is it's an uncomfortable week, right? We've been talking about this highly expected for millions of Americans, not only here in Wisconsin. And as this high pressure dome builds, it is going to have a lot of impacts other than just the heat itself. We have Fox's Tom Vergara to have more on the extreme heat that is looking to wash over the country.
More than a week after deadly flooding plunged parts of the Northeast underwater, the region is now bracing for an intense heat wave.
A lot of times people are not prepared for this.
State and local officials from Nebraska to Florida urging residents to take precautions as a high-pressure heat dome is expected to trap very hot, dry weather across much of the country.
You can potentially go out earlier in the morning as opposed to the heat of the afternoon. The hottest hour tends to be 4 p.m. And just really trying to make sure you're wearing, light, loose clothing.
Forecasters say temperatures are expected to rise into the upper 90s with heat indices or feels like temperatures making it seem much worse. In parts of the Midwest, real field temperatures could be closer to 110 to 115 degrees. This could create dangerous conditions for anyone without effective cooling or proper hydration.
That can lead to things such as heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
To stay safe, health officials urge those in high heat areas to stay inside, stay hydrated, and never leave kids or pets alone in cars. It's also important to recognize signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Someone with heat stroke actually is going to have a higher body temperature. So they're not going to be in that 98, 99 body temperature range. They will have gone up to 103 or higher.
Tom Vergara, Fox News.
Well, definitely helpful tips there, staying hydrated, wearing that loose clothing, light clothing, and we've even talked about the beach conditions. But there are going to be some additional impacts, even if you are staying safe. You have a little more information on that.
Yes. Staying on the topic of heat and even medications here, with heat being the big story this week, some people are more at risk for heat-related illnesses, like those who take some over-the-counter drugs and common prescriptions need to watch out. Some medicines can interfere with our body's ability to really effectively cool down in the extreme heat. Stimulants for ADHD, blood pressure medicines, and other heart medications can increase the risk of heart or heat-related illnesses. To minimize your risk, try to focus on 3 main things today and tomorrow. Rest from being in the heat, going in the shade, and hydrate with water. Again, I'll say the last one again. Hydrate with water, folks.
True.
So when should you seek medical attention here? Pay attention to your body. Seek medical attention when symptoms are persistent or if they become severe, like causing a person to pass out.
Yeah, and you maybe not would think about some of these things, right? If you do take medication on a daily basis, you'd assume it's just okay, but it is good to know that if you are someone who takes some of those meds that you just listed, Holly, just to really take it easy, not overexerting yourself outside. As she mentioned, the main thing, hydrate, taking breaks from being in the heat as well as being in the shade, especially as our sun's coming back out across southern portions of the state today.
I know. I mean, we're not the only people to pay attention to, right? We got to pay attention to the pets as well.
Of course we do, right? They're like someone's children for some of us. And yes, our pets, if you're planning on taking them for a walk today, the earlier you can take them, the better. A reminder that surfaces made of different materials can be also different temperatures because of what they are made of. We are tracking temperatures in the mid-90s today. So grass, 95 degrees. Concrete, and it's 95 degrees outside, it's actually 130 degrees, and paws can burn in 5 minutes. It's asphalt. Again, a lot of parking lots, some roads, especially if you don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood. That can be 150 degrees temperature-wise. It's a darker color, again, absorbs more of that energy. Paws can burn in 1 minute at that temperature. So it is crucial to make sure that when you are taking your pet out to go during the times of the day when the temperatures are coolest, which will be in the morning. And unfortunately, it's not exactly when the sunset goes down, but the early evening hours is the best time. I have seen some people too put these little booties on their dogs so their feet don't burn. So just like how we need shoes on our feet, I mean, imagine walking on the hot grass or the hot sand on a beach one day and you feel that heat touch your skin. It's the exact same thing for your pets.
Yeah, you gotta keep those pets safe. I mean, I've seen so many different, you know, where their paws or, you know, their paws are so dainty, just like our hands and our feet are. So we just we gotta treat them like humans. I mean, we already take care of them like humans.
Yeah.
We gotta treat them like humans in every way possible.
I agree. Well, and just like humans, animals of various species have ways to cool off when the heat hits, but it's not all the same as humans. Let's take a look at dogs and cats. They pant to cool down by increasing evaporation from their moist mouths and respiratory tract. Elephants flap their ears to circulate blood and release heat or take a dip in the water. Hippos and even pigs wallow in the water or mud to allow their body temperature to cool down. Rabbits have very large ears with extensive blood vessels in them that help dissipate heat through increased surface areas and blood circulation. Birds like pelicans and frigate birds vibrate muscles in their throats to increase evaporation and cool down. They also bathe in the water to cool down and clean their feathers. Squirrels, you may have seen this, they'll lay down on dirt or other surfaces and transfer heat away from their bodies like a flat pancake. They sprawl out there. Toads and snails, well, they enter a state of dormancy during the summer months to conserve energy and avoid overheating. And cows, especially with horns, they use those horns to primarily help them regulate their body temperature, such as those longhorns you might be known for, their horns in Texas. It releases heat through the blood vessels within the horns, so while they may look scary, they actually have some use. So it's cool to see that the overall anatomy of some of these animals, there is a purpose for the ears. There is a purpose for having some of these unique looking features of them so that they can stay cool as well.
I know, that was very interesting. I didn't know some of that, so that was very interesting.
Well, we're going to continue on the topic of heat, maybe what you should and shouldn't wear when the heat and sun is around, and Holly's going to educate us a little bit about humidity difference depending on where you are. We'll have a lot more coming up after the break, so stay tuned.
Welcome back, folks. We're going to talk more about this heat because it's so many different umbrellas of heat. We could talk about, heat safety, so many different things, but we have to talk about the clothing you wear outdoors too.
Yeah, I know we still want to look very stylish when it's hot outside, but when the heat's coming in, clothes can be a big part of you staying cool. Here's some things that you should and should not wear when it comes to being out in the sun.
When it's hot outside, it's best to prioritize loose-fitting clothing. Try to avoid tight clothing because it can restrict your body's ability to cool down. When you and your friends are out shopping for the summer fits, it's best to get colors like white, pastels, and light neutral colors. Oh, I love that. This will help reflect sunlight and absorb less heat. And yes, I know we have some dark color lovers out there too. But when it's sunny and hot, those colors can absorb more heat, which can make you feel all sweaty and warm. Also, having linen shirts or shorts are great for breathability and comfort.
And though, some of you may be big jean fans, when it comes to weather like this, it's best to keep it simple with comfort. Now, for those who love wearing dresses and skirts in the summer, make sure those beautiful outfits are lightweight. This will provide good coverage while staying cool. Most of summer fits, of course, are not complete without accessories. So when adding your bling and pearls to your outfit, be sure to include your hat as well as your sunglasses. These things are essential for protecting your head and eyes from the sun. So it's a great reminder there too. We can still be fashionable, we can still have fun, but adding a little bit of safety in it in terms of the material, the color, and protecting, again, your eyes and your head.
Right, and I do believe, too, when you're wearing like a linen long sleeve or something like that, it could also help with not getting sunburned, but also staying cool in the sun as well. So a lot of good tips there, folks, and we're just going to even talk about it even more. We'll talk about the humidity now. So humidity versus at least evaporation. So we're going to toss it right over to some tips that I've created for you on, or the difference between being humid in Arizona versus in Florida. As we continue through summer, those temperatures will continue to heat up, folks. And you know what else cranks it up a notch? The humidity levels. Well, we're going to compare the humidity in Phoenix versus Florida because we're both in summer right now, but it feels completely different. One is more of a heavy heat and more soupy feel outdoors versus the other place, which is Phoenix, is more of a dry heat. So let's compare the humidity and evaporation in Phoenix versus Florida. So let's give a scenario. Let's say you're getting in the pool in Phoenix. If you're getting in the pool in Phoenix, you're typically going to dry much faster because you have very low humidity levels. So that's going to equal more evaporation, which is evaporative cooling from your skin. So that's going to cool your skin off very, very quickly because of the humidity is so low. Now, if you were to go and take a trip to Florida and you were to get in the pool, whenever you get out of the pool, you're going to have very high humidity levels, but the evaporation is going to be very low. And in that case, your skin is typically not going to dry out as fast. You're going to pretty much stay wet, especially in Florida versus being in Phoenix.
Well, we're talking about all the things, right? You did mention earlier, Holly, I thought was cool, that it was really hot in Phoenix and still warm in Florida, but it's all about that moisture in the air.
It's all about the moisture. You're typically going to stay pretty wet once you get out the pool in Florida versus Phoenix. It's going to dry up just like that.
Well, pool weather or hot dog weather, since it's hot, hot, hot. We're going to have a lot more coming up after the break. Well, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. If you have any questions at all, feel free to let us have them. We will answer any scientific questions you have, from weather to maybe you got questions about hot dogs, since we're going to get into that segue. You can scan that QR code at the bottom of the screen and submit your question, and we will do our best to get it answered.
Well, today's sunny with a chance of hot dogs.
Hot dogs?
All right, so the Juliet Slammers will attempt to break the world record for hot dogs served at once during a game on Tuesday night. Well, this happened Tuesday night, so last night. So thanks to the helicopters, they dropped them all over center field. This is insane. I'm not that much of a hot dog lover, but I would have been out there trying to get a hot dog just because I knew they dropped them. But
now I'm like, are they going to chuck them out to the audience? Because I understand for probably safety reasons they're doing it on the field, but are the players eating them? Who's eating them?
Yeah, I wonder who's eating them. Are they warm? Did some of them get damaged, on their way down? I don't know.
If you're going to a game, a staple is a hot dog and peanuts. So hopefully people got to enjoy a little treat at the game yesterday.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us on Wisconsin Weather Experts today. We're going to have a brand new, fresh episode tomorrow with a lot more stories to come, so you can stay tuned and watch us on FOX.